Alright, so I made a poll asking which type of a tier list you guys were most interested in, and over 60% of you voted for free-to-play weapons, so that is what we are doing today. I'm not sure if I ever made a free-to-play weapon tier list. I've made all of the other ones, but I had this tier list like created, ready to go. I just don't know if I ever used it. Anyway, yeah, so this is all of them. This is 34 free-to-play weapons, but in general, this is going to be like, S is like actual meta weapon. D is going to be like, only get it if you literally have to. And then, you know, the ones in between. So yeah, starting from the top. Arc Torrent. Arc Torrent is C. It's not D. If it was a little bit worse, I would put it in D, quite frankly. The damage, like early game, like let's say on my free-to-play account, the damage around that SP is pretty good, but any other time, Arc Torrent's like, it's not gonna kill anything, dude. It's just, yeah. Autocannon. You really don't have a choice, so I'm gonna put in D. Carbine. Definitely D. Like, you might say, well, Carbine is not that bad. It's better than Arc Torrent. And this is true, but it costs you a damn arm and a leg just to get something that's mildly better than an epic weapon. It's not worth even a quarter of the Acoins that it costs. So I'm going to put it in D. Chain Gun. B. It's incredibly mid. Honestly. The main thing holding it back is the magazine, I would say. It requires most of a full magazine to be able to kill anything, which forces you to spend that, 10-second or whatever reload time, which is better than Minigun, but at least Minigun can kill like 3 or 4 things before having to reload. Chain Gun cannot, and that's what makes it worse. Cryo Javelin. I mean, as far as things go, like if you were to have the 12, right, I would say it's a solid weapon. Maybe not A, probably put it B. Above or below Chain Gun, I'm not so sure. I'll keep it above for right now. I think it's fairly comparable to Helix Rack, although Helix Rack does have quicker reload, and that's a pretty big deal for this weapon, I would say, especially since I think Javelin Rack, the only reload implant, is a rare one. Cryo Launcher. Solid A. I've been enjoying this thing more and more the more that I use it. I would say it's definitively better than regular nades for most purposes, but I'll get into the regular nades later. Not a meta weapon for sure, but it does have good damage output. Similar damage to Missile Rack, except obviously quicker reload, a bit more control with the multiple bursts. You don't have to fire all of your shots at once. And you also get the stasis effect. That's nice. Disc Launcher. Disc Launcher is C. I would not say that you should avoid it at all costs, but I would recommend against getting it. Would I say it's better than Arc Torrent? Probably not. I want to put it below Arc Torrent. The damage per shot is not impressive whatsoever, and the radius has been nerfed to crap. So the radius can't deal back damage for one thing, and also there's radius damage fall off. So anything over like 5 meter distance, I think the radius damage is almost entirely negligible. Disruptor. This one, it's still fairly decent, even given mods, I would say. It's probably, for most purposes, a solid A, probably toward the back of A, but I would consider it slightly better than, like, middle ground. The shield pierce percent, it's only like 10%, so it's like, that's not the thing that really makes it good. It's mostly the ability to use it really passively and use the radius and the path damage in a way that other weapons just kind of can't. As well as the reload speed's really short, so it's pretty solid. Better on some mechs than others for sure, but I think it's definitely usable. EM Rifle. EM rifle is C. Probably better than Disc Launcher. I mean, like, in the hypothetical scenario that you're throwing it on an Orion, let's say, they can be useful, but even still, I would not call them ideal, which is why I'm putting them in C and not in B. So yeah, I'm going to keep them here. Arc Torrent is kind of in a similar situation, but it doesn't necessarily need it. Like, this only works if you put it on Orion. This can at least work on, like, some other mechs as well. Ember Gun. I'm gonna dare put it in S. Yes, I know technically most like actual meta players are gonna be avoiding using Ember Gun in their maxed hangars. But some of them still use like a single Revoker and a single Ember Gun, which I think it has higher DPS, but it doesn't take down mod shields as quickly, which is why most people don't use it. So it's kind of a pro-con situation, I guess. So in that regard, it is usable, but also just in regard to free-to-play weapons, this is one of the best options that you have. So I'm gonna put it in S. You crap at it, okay. Fragment Gun. Fragment Gun is probably like upper B. It has enough ammo to make it like kind of usable, and the damage per shot is respectable. The only thing it really suffers against is multi-layered mods, and if you're not like, 15 KSP, then your enemies shouldn't have maxed out multi-layer mods, so it's not necessarily like ineffective. I would put it in A because of that, but I think it's a little bit hit or miss depending on the enemy, so I'm gonna keep it at upper B. Fusion Cannon. Hot garbage. I am going to put this in D. It is kind of similar to Arc Torrent, but it is legitimately worse. Like, it has worse DPS. The range is better, granted, but that's not really the main issue of Arc Torrent. So, I will keep it above Carbine just because, like, I think it does actually have similar mag dump DPS to Carbine, which is sort of sad considering Carbine's a legendary. And it's much cheaper, so it wouldn't be as bad of an investment. Like, it wouldn't be as detrimental to your 8 coin savings or whatever. But like I said with Arc Torrent, if it were a little bit worse, I'd put it in D. Fusion Cannon is basically a little bit worse Arc Torrent, so I'm putting it in D. Gauss Rifle. Kinda OP if you get it in the first, like, 2 tiers of the Gear Hub. But apart from that, pretty garbage. I'm going to put it above Fusion Cannon because Gauss Rifle is funny as Graviton Beam. Graviton Beam is probably... Some people are going to disagree with me on this. I would put it above Chain Gun. There's a lot of things that makes Graviton Beam less useful, including like Galvanical and all of that stuff. And Graviton has to burn through all of that, but it's constant damage. You basically never have to reload. It's kind of like Chain Gun, except you don't have to worry about the reload problem, and the reload problem is, that, like I said, the main reason that I think Chain Gun's not very good. So yes, Graviton has a lot of other issues that it has to work out. So like it has to eat through all of the like enemy mod shields, and that can take a long time, especially if they're multi-layered shields, because each implosion only clears off 1 layer, right? And then it has to chew through the galvanic hull. The implosion is counted as extra damage, and so it goes toward galvanic hull before it starts going into the actual HP. So it has to burn through a lot of extra stuff that Chain Gun doesn't necessarily have to take as much time with. But even still, it doesn't have to reload after every kill, and I think that's the big thing. So yeah, above Chain Gun. Probably Cryo Javelin too, to be honest. Helix Rack. I'm gonna put Helix Rack in A. It is very solid. It is probably better than Disruptor. Well, it's almost definitively better than Disruptor. But probably worse than Cryo Launcher, at least in my opinion. It has less flexibility than Cryo Launcher does, and I think that's the only reason that I'm putting it lower. Otherwise, you know, it's a very campy, spammy weapon. Regular Javelin Rack. Worse than Cryo Javelin, just by default. Probably worse than Chain Gun as well. But still, you know, B. Longarm. Longarm is not bad. It's worth getting early on, but it's not really worth keeping. So, like, you could skip it if you want to. I'm gonna put it top of C, because, like, spending credits or A coins on a Longarm is gonna be less of a waste than spending it on any of these. Minigun. Top of S tier. My favorite weapon just in general, so I'm gonna be maybe a little bit biased, but come on, dude. It's Minigun. You'll see a lot of these in maxed out, like Clan Wars, custom battles, stuff like that. You will see several miniguns. A lot of it's gonna be Revokers and Stormwrecks for sure, but you will see some miniguns, and it is legitimately a meta weapon, so I would highly recommend getting it if you can. Missile Rack is pretty good. You know what I say? Missile Rack's better than Disruptor? Yeah, probably. I'd say it's even better than Helix Rack, but it's worse than Cryo Launcher because, like I said, Cryo Launcher has basically the same damage output as Missile Rack, except it has lower reload time, better flexibility, you can fire over stuff. The only thing that Missile Rack has that Cryo Launcher doesn't is the ability to, like, be a bit more precise at longer ranges. Nade Launcher. For the regular nades, I'm also going to put above Missile Rack, but below Cryo Launcher. I'm realizing just now that the image scaling that I have here is very different for some weapons. Like, this is tiny compared to the Cryo. It's whatever, it's not to scale. This is the Nade Launcher on a cheetah. This is a Cryo Launcher on a brick house, okay? Anyway, nades are, they have better damage output than Cryo Launcher by a little bit. You fire individual shots, so you don't have to fire in bursts, but you have less maximum range, and you don't apply stasis. What I believe makes Cryo Launcher superior is, first off, it has more ammo total, like maximum ammo. It has 9 shots as opposed to regular nades that have 8. And that can help you get through multi-layered shields faster. One projectile can actually make a pretty significant difference. The burst fire is also really nice. It can be a con as well, just because, like, you're forced to use a third of your ammo every time you want to fire. But it also helps you get out a third of your damage really quickly, as opposed to nades that has to just, like, gradually shoot one after another, which is fine for camping and, like, suppressing people, but it's not as good for, like, up-close brawling. And the stasis on the Cryo also helps for up-close brawling. You can make them slow and they won't be able to turn as quickly, and you can kind of just, like, you know, stay behind them. And that's really useful. Plasma Cannon. I mean, it's... I'll put it here. It's better than Autocannon. You're gonna get it just because you have to anyway, but, like, yeah, don't buy any more than you have to, obviously. Pulse Cannon is a completely different story. Like, even early game, Pulse Cannon is terrible. There is no stage of the game where Pulse Cannon actually works well. So that is back of the line. Quantum Gun, I'm gonna put B, way above Cryo Javelin. It is a very well-rounded weapon. It is solid, I like it, and it's also really funny. But just in general, like, really good range, pretty decent mag size to be able to take care of multi-layered shields if you have to, decent brawling capacity with the magazine size as well. The only issue that it has is a sort of long reload time. So I would put that below Graviton still. Railgun. Probably better than Quantum Gun. Granted, it's going to do all against a multi-layered shield, but if you slap it on an Orion or if you just happen to be shooting at someone who doesn't have a multi-layered shield, it's going to do a lot of damage. Unlike EM Rifle, it can fire multiple times. It does not rely on a single shot and then a fixed reload. It has a recharge magazine, which means, you know, usually you can keep at least one shot in the chamber for when you need it if things get dicey. You can also use it up close a lot better, so it's just better for that. Just really solid burst damage. Rocket Mortar. Probably worse than Javelin, but still a B. It's a very campy weapon. It is the definition of campy weapons. It is better than Fuse Mortar. Fuse Mortar's not on this list, but it is better than Fuse Mortar, and the reason is because Fuse Mortar's projectiles, they spread out a lot more when they're hitting the ground, and they also don't explode immediately, which means that you cover more area and you're more likely to be able to hit multiple targets if there's multiple targets there. However, Rocket Mortar will actually deal that damage up front to one guy a lot harder. It'll deal a lot more damage to the one dude that you're firing at if you're only firing at one dude, which most of the time you are. RPG, you know, still only get it if it's like necessary for climbing gear hub tiers or whatever. Like, it'll be good early on when it's like one of your only options, but you know at that point you're just getting it because you kind of have to. Shotgun, slightly worse investment than Longarm. Longarm's better, but Shotgun's kind of close. Good damage. It's really OP early on, but it also loses value pretty quickly, not just because it's an uncommon weapon and the highest energy variant is an 8, but also because you pretty much immediately get access to Fragment Gun, which is literally just a better shotgun. Stasis Beam. Avoid at all costs, but it's better than Autocannon, not better than Carbine. Sorry, Stasis Beam. This was the first weapon that I maxed out, by the way, was Stasis Beam 16. No regrets. Thermal Lance. It has potential to be used in some hybrid builds, and everybody talks about the theoretical benefit, but before anyone says anything in the comments about, like, well, you can do this and this and this with Thermal Lance, let me ask you one thing. Do you do that? Are you one of the people who uses Thermal Lance? No, I didn't think so. I'm putting it in D. Voltaic RPG. Is very sad. It makes me very sad. It's probably worse than Arc Torrent and EM Rifle. And probably even Disc Launcher. It's not like the absolute worst. I'm not going to put in D. But, it's not good. I really wish it was better. They gave the freaking Blast RPG all kinds of weird stuff that it didn't really need. It's kind of wishing it would be a little bit more like a better Voltaic RPG. Because I liked this weapon, it was cool. But it's just not very good. So sad. Storm Rack. Top of S tier. Nobody saw that coming. I mean, it is the top 2 weapon. Arguably the top 1 weapon, depending on how you look at it. Revoker is definitely more broken than Storm Rack is, but more people... You're more likely to see 3 Storm Rack builds in a super sweaty hangar than you are to see 3 Revoker builds, and it's not because of the price. This is, you know, hangars with maxed out mods and stuff like that, maxed legendary mods. So it has nothing to do with the price, it's just the fact that it's better on more stuff. So it's one of the top 2 weapons. Which one is... I'll leave that up to you. Repeater. Repeater is... I'd say better than Fragment Gun. Probably... compared to Disruptor, would I personally want to run a Repeater or a Disruptor build? That's an excellent question. I'd probably rather run Disruptor, to be honest. Repeater runs out of damage so dang quickly In fact, it's like what, 5 to 10 second. I think its damage output over like 5 to 10 seconds is lower than Arc Torrent, just because it fires all of its ammo, it just burns its mag so quickly, and then it has 0 damage output after that. But the problem is that the damage output that it does have, even though it's pretty decent for a little while, it's not enough to kill most things, unless you're kind of low SP. Then maybe it is, but even then, like a Disruptor would kind of do the same job. So, Particle Beam. We have a new contender for worst weapon in the game. Particle Beam is so bad, it's not even funny, dude. I like my bad weapons, I like my meme weapons. I'll use Stasis Beam, I'll use Carbine, I won't really use Pulse Cannon because the highest energy variant's an 8, which is kind of sad. But I won't use Particle Beam almost ever because it's just that bad. It's so terrible. When it became free to play, a lot of people were like, what should I get? Should I get Graviton Beam or Particle Beam? Here's your answer. There's a solid 2.5 tiers difference. If that doesn't answer your question, I don't know what will. Pod Gun is a top 5 weapon, I would say. Like top 5 among all weapons. Better than Ember Gun, worse than Minigun. It is a really, really solid weapon to be putting on like a support mech. It's a really good counter to lace wings, which are like stupidly dominant. And just overall, for most purposes, it has good DPS, homing mechanic, infinite range, all kinds of things. The only downside that it really has is the damage delay, like when you hit people with the projectiles or when you hit the ground. It waits for either 2 or 4 seconds, respectively. Which can be kind of annoying and it can definitely cost you your life a few times. But even still, pretty solid. Alright, so since the time of recording all of this, Viper was also released for free-to-play. So this is here now. I'm gonna put it in A, probably above Disruptor, below Helix Rack. I'm also gonna rearrange a couple things. This is like, I don't know, like a month after I recorded this. So like in hindsight, first off, Fragment Gun's not that good. Fragment Gun's worse than Quantum Gun. Repeater is probably better than Fragment Gun, but also worse than Quantum Gun. And yeah, that's pretty much the only thing I would change, really. In terms of my reasoning for Viper being the way that it is, well, the DPS is good. It is pretty similar to Minigun, I believe. The problem is that you're reliant on the rockets. Like, if you go to the stats and you look at the stats, the DPS, half of it is tied into the rockets. So if you miss even one rocket out of your magazine, it's a massive massive waste of DPS potential. Like, it's a lot of damage down the drain. And that's no good. It's really easy to miss your rockets too, because they're very strange. So even though the potential DPS is good, the reliability is really not. They're not a super reliable weapon. It's really hard to hit rockets on enemies that are in stealth, so there's that as well. It would be a much better weapon if not for that. I would say it's better than Graviton Beam. Graviton Beam's got a lot of benefits, but it does have to chew through all of the mods. Viper deals with mods a bit better, I would say. Alright, so yeah. This is my free-to-play weapon tier list. Lots of you are going to disagree with me. You can have your opinions, I will have my opinions. You're probably not going to change my opinions, but feel free to let me know, because maybe, you never know. And yeah, let me know if there's some other type of tier list you want me to do. I got a couple comments suggesting some interesting tier list formats. Tier list about the weapons most suitable for every mech type. That was the top comment. I don't even know what that means. Are you trying to get me to, like, make a tier list of weapons for each individual mech? Because that would be like 40 different tier lists. So, yeah. maybe you guys can give me some ideas of how I could do that. It sounds interesting though. Also, build tier list, like the top 30 builds or so. That is also a very interesting one. So let me know if you guys want to see either of those. And otherwise, yeah, that will be it for me. Appreciate y'all. Take care.